Hey Dude,
The 90s Called,
with Christine Taylor and David Lascher.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Hey Dude, The 90s Called podcast. I'm David.
Hi David, I'm Christine.
Hi.
Hi.
Long time no see.
We did.
Not
we got to
really.
see each other in New York last week.
I want to talk about that. That was amazing.
Yeah, we had this incredible experience. We got to do a live episode of the podcast on the Drew Barrymore show, where we got to interview Drew, and that's aired. That's been on Drew's show for a few days now. I don't know.
Right. By the time people hear this, it will have aired on CBS on Drew's show.
Yes, so you can look that up to see the video of that episode. But because Drew's show is only a half-hour show, that's an edited version. And for you all, our fans, you will get the unedited version next week. So be sure to, what did we do? It was probably almost an hour.
We were like an hour on her show.
It was just about an hour. And yeah, so I mean, it was incredible. We had so much fun. She was so generous with her time. We had a blast. We got to talk to her about most things we wanted to ask her about, right?
Yeah, she's also just so open and honest and genuine. I mean, really, she doesn't hide anything, right? She talked about anything we wanted her to. She was amazing and so generous to let us take over her show.
Yes. So we had a blast, and there's some, for any of you who have seen it, you've already seen it, but we surprised her with a co-star that she worked with in the 90s, and we will have our full length interview with Drew next week. So please tune in. And then Ben and I got to take you out to dinner that night, which was
God, yes.
fun.
It was so great hanging with you guys. I mean, it's just like nonstop conversation. It's just so easy. You have certain people you're with, and it's just so easy and just so fun. And yeah, it was a quick 3 days in New York. I will tell our audience that this was really cool. My friend Dylan Lauren, who was on our show. And I told you this, she's like, someone needs to dress you you're going on Drew Barrymore. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Christine, you always look so fashionable. And I'm like, I would wear like jeans and a t-shirt or something. So she brought me to her dad, Ralph Lauren's store on Madison Avenue. A stylist met us. She ran through the store with like razor precision. And she said to the stylist, I'm picking everything. You just grab the sizes. And so I walked down Madison Avenue. Thank you, Dylan Lauren. And thank you to your dad, Ralph, for dressing me. But I was walking down Madison Avenue like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman.
I was going to say, were you carrying your bags?
I literally had 4 bags, shoes, and blazer, like one of those Valpak blazer things. It was, I never shop for myself, ever.
Yeah.
So it was really fun.
Well, it was really good. You left it in perfect hands. Dylan and Dad did an incredible job. You looked terrific.
So did you.
And we had just had a great time. We had a great time. It's going to be a great episode. I'm very excited. We're very excited to share it with you, because we've been wanting to have Drew on for the last year or so. And when we finally started to figure out this time frame, and she came to us and was like, how about this, where we'd sort of do a joint venture, and we get you guys on the show. And we were like, we couldn't even believe it. It just was the most fun idea.
Thank you for hooking that up. I know you're like wedding singer, co-star. You've known each other forever. So it was so cool to see you guys catch up to get, with each other.
Yes, it was great. It was great. Now, please, because we have our amazing guest in the waiting room. David, do you want to give a little intro? Because this is a friend of yours from forever.
Yes. Alimi Ballard is one of the greatest guys I know, one of the most positive forces in the world, but also an incredible actor with an insane career, beautiful family, and he's part of our Sabrina family. So let's welcome Alimi.
Yes.
Oh, there he is. Oh. What's up, Ali?
What's up, beautiful people? How we doing?
Look at that dapper smile. Look at it. Looking good.
He is always dapper, man. I mean, he's wearing the coolest clothes always groomed.
You are very kind. There was an option for topless this morning.
Oh, damn it.
I ran it by my wife and she said, oh, hells to the gnaw, young man. Hells to the gnaw.
To the gnaw.
That would have gained some eyeballs, though, for sure.
Yeah, so I put a turtle, so now I'm covered up all my skin.
Yeah, you really went the other direction.
Sweater, turtleneck, so I'm covered all the way up. So, but here I am.
I just have to say, and I want to hear, because you guys have known each other for a long time, but yeah. I just had the great privilege of meeting you at 90s Con a few weeks ago. And what my takeaway, first of all, just you sparkle. Like you sparkle and shine, like just literally your eyes sparkle when you talk, your energy, you are a magnet. I mean, truly, like from that moment David introduced us during that photo shoot room that we were all in, and we had just a quick hi. And then it was just like, oh my gosh, look at there's an electricity around you. And it's like magical, truly.
All right. As my training, as I've been trained, first I say thank you. That's a very kind and a very generous thing to offer to this space, and I receive it from you wholeheartedly. I won't guard that. I'll just take it into my heart. And I say that because let me, share, you are so sweet. And David, it's instantaneous. You feel her spirit. I know she's one of your work wives. You got 2 work wives, and it's instantaneous. Whatever the goodness you can feel off a person, and we work in our industry, in our business, and in all businesses, people can be so complicated, right? And it's nothing like meeting somebody, and it's not all of that just distance, like a hedge. There's no hedge around you. It's like, hi. I'm like, oh shit, hello. You know what I mean? And that's one of the best things for me that you can feel about people traveling in this world, male or female. You meet them and there's no distance between you.
Listen, the best part of 90s Con for me, and it was a great weekend, was bringing you guys together. Yeah. And I knew, listen, Melissa Hart and Christine are good friends now, and you guys have connected, and just bringing people together that have similar spirits and the positivity. And yes, Ali, I gotta say, you always you're one of the most positive people, and and your wife as well, and your kids, and just everything you reflect out into the world always just inspires me. So I was so happy to bring all you guys together, and hopefully there's a lifelong friendships here.
It happens. The last con I went to, I think, was 2022 or 2020. I can't remember. It was like the 25th anniversary of Sabrina. You were there with us, right? It was that 2020 or 2022? We
did that Entertainment Weekly photo shoot, right?
Yeah. It could have been during COVID, so I'm going to say 2022. And as far as meeting great people and connecting with people, like so this is hopefully a theme for me, a trend for me. Then I'm praying continues to go. For the first time I met Elisa Donovan. I met Red. At the last one, I hadn't known her before that moment.
My favorite, yeah.
Since then, I mean, we text. I just be like, hey, girl, I love you. Like my wife is like, so you're collecting.
She's another one of them. She's another one of those people, exactly like what. Let me take a second to thank you for what you said, because but you're right. When we find each other in this, it shouldn't be, but it is. As artists, many of us can be very complicated, but and we are. We have all of those layers, but sometimes you just get put into a situation where there's a magnetic pull to the people that will make you feel safe and cozy. Because sometimes those things can be so overwhelming. So you're like, oh my God, That's a safe place.
You
that
said
person's
safe.
safe.
You said a buzzword. I say safe.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not. I'm gonna hang back on that. But keep going, please.
Yeah. No, but that's what I mean. And Elisa
Yes.
is one of those people too. I think of, we had her on our show, and I hadn't seen her in 25 plus years.
Yes.
We'd done a little work thing together years and years ago, but it was like when we reconnected, we've been doing the same ever since, texting, talking, connecting. And it was like as if no time had passed. And
the hotel, when I was there in Connecticut, I woke up in the morning, and I know it was early San Francisco time, but I'm that kind of friend. I don't care. So I sent her a video message like, I know you're sleeping, but you're not here with us in Connecticut. She texted me back hours later, like, Alimi, do not send me. I was like, Charlie, your husband knows who I am. I'm fine. And if I get in trouble with Charlie, I'll just apologize my way out of it. I'm good. I'm your brother. Where are you? So
I was texting with her last night during the Warriors game. This is Elisa Donovan from Sabrina and Clueless and all these great things. But she's one of our best friends. She's a diehard Warriors fan. Christine,
I know. We texted last year when the Knicks were playing the Warriors. And David, you must text everybody during the basketball games. You cover because you were texting me during the Knicks game too.
It's playoff time,
Totally.
And on that note, first of all, guys, thank you for having me on this beautiful space. And I'm very jazzed. And like I said, my affection level for the both of you is just through the roof.
It's our honor.
Mutual. Well, just since we're talking about the New York Knicks, let's go back to you grew up in New York.
Yes.
Yeah. So take us back to how did you get into acting?
I got into acting very clear day. It was like July 10th, 1989. I was in Harlem with my mom and my family at the CCNY, City College, New York campus. And I was about, did I turn 16 yet? I was 16, on my way to being 17. Basically decent kid, but you're at that age where you're going to want to find your space. You're not loving school. You're not loving your extracurricular activities. And this is the 80s. I'm not sure. This is pre-gentrification. New York is, I was scared with the squeegee guys and the XXX movie theaters. Yeah. I'm a kid in the 80s running around New York City. You know what I mean? And I hadn't found the arts. So I was just like looking. You don't know you're looking, but you're looking, but you're not looking at all the right things.
Right.
So,
to be,
say no more.
Yeah. And a friend of the family is like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm like, chilling, man. You know how it is. He's like, okay. So he's like, listen, why don't you come up to this theater arts program in the Bronx? We'll teach you how to dance, how to sing, how to act, and it'll be great. I was like, hard pass.
You said no.
That doesn't sound cool.
I don't know any actors. I don't know any singers. I don't know any rappers. I'm from the Bronx. There's no entertainment in my space. Me being in my life is a complete act of God, a complete act of grace. You know what I mean? I have no outliers for this, right? So I'm just like, no, thank you. Hard pass. Like, okay, hold on. We'll pay you $30 a week. Like,
hold on.
That's legal. $30 clean dollars. That's clean money. I'm like, all right, all right, cool. I'll give it some thought. Now, from saying maybe to that next Monday, because this was like Saturday or Sunday, that I walk into this creative arts center, Mind Builders Creative Arts Center. It's a nonprofit located in New York City in the Bronx. I don't know what angels grabbed me by the head and put me on the bus and make me go there. But I walk into the door of this creative arts center and the complete trajectory of my life is altered.
Like instant. It changed instantly.
You make the movie, Christine, it's the kid stumbles into the rec center. Dun, dun, dun. You met a coach. Dun, dun, dun. Now you're in the NBA. Like literally, that's my story. And to elaborate just a little bit, David, there was a nonprofit organization and they were getting teens from the neighborhood to do plays by, for, and about teens, about, and it was written by you, and it was about, peer pressure, drugs, which was big at the time, you know what I mean? Dealing with abuse, and you would do plays in elementary schools, libraries, detention centers. You, as the kids, kind of living through some of the stuff, we must have sounded so horrible and terrible, but, it had a lot of passion. And then going into other young people, other youth experiencing the same world. and doing arts as entertainment, but as empowerment. And it was this the summer of 1989, it was such a pivotal moment in my life, and it transformed me primarily because of the mentors there. They weren't getting paid a lot of money, and they cared. So they wanted to hug us. And so I thought they were, creepy crawly people. I was like, do not touch me. Do not hug me. I was like, ward off.
Boundaries. Yes. This is, yeah.
But they were more like Mr. Rogers. They had an elevated spirit. And you didn't know that people could care for you and not take from you. Because when your world is guards, like we were talking about, Christine, with all the people we meet, there's so many guards up, David. There's, you meet people, there's all of these guards on them. And these people were a different set of people. And they were like, okay, calm down. I know you got your fight or flight on you. Relax. We're here to teach. And over time, their love changed my whole world. I fell in love with them before I fell in love with acting.
I imagine just that exercise in trust too. Like, these are people, like you said, what did they want back from me? They don't know me. Why are they giving so much of themselves without wanting something back? When you grow up in a world where that's not the case.
Changes everything.
Trust, man, that must have been huge.
It was huge. To echo what you said earlier, right? To tie it back to that, safe. Like I met Elisa safe. You know what I mean? Like, you meet people, there's a quality, and it's hard to, you feel it. Well, you're just safe. I mean, sometimes you're wrong, but a lot of times you're right. Safety there.
But you learn to trust people, as a kid, and you're just fighting for survival. If you don't have those influences, and it could be a coach, it could be a teacher, it could be someone in an acting program. Every kid needs those people in their lives.
And from every socioeconomic background.
Of course.
Your alienation, the spirit of not belonging, it cuts across, I would imagine, every youth in the world, a place where you're accepted, where you're seen.
And people are giving to you without expecting anything in return. That's a great lesson, right?
Bro, they just hope you could do the dance steps, right? The only payment back is you can do the lines. You know what I mean?
Sing your notes. Do it. Right, exactly.
Be good, I think.
Or at least try your hardest, just give it your all.
Right.
Listen, so you ended up on a major soap opera, right? All My Children. Was that your first big break?
It was, first of all, yes. But to clarify, it was called Loving. All My Children was so popular, they had a spinoff show.
Oh, I remember Loving. Yes, I remember Loving.
This is like, right? Oh yeah, they were just dating. I was like, hey, how you doing? She go, I'm doing. I was like, okay, she's cute. There was Dondre Whitfield from from the Cosby Show. Dondre Whitfield, he was like the first guy I knew who like looked like me. He took me around the studio, and I met all the people, and that was my first entry into like legit professional on camera, series regular contract.
And that's no joke. I mean, we've had some soap actors on, and that is like a boot camp in learning your lines, the amount of pages that you would have to shoot on a given day. And how was that? I mean, well, first of all, before you got that, when you started to kind of lean into this program and you were learning the dance steps and learning the lines, were you good right away?
No, no lie. We're not going to lie today. Finish it. No, I'll answer that quick. No, go on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. So, but you loved it, but you liked it. Or was it that you wanted to please them and you wanted to just get better?
Hear this.
Tell me.
I sucked. No latent talent. I don't care what they say. You were always good. I think they lie. Okay. I think they lie to be nice to me because they love me. Right. No talent, not good at anything. I do have a decent work ethic, but I know that was created during this process. It was being safe and wanting to be there and you wanting to excel in that environment. And then it was one performance. We're in the South Bronx. We're at like a middle school. It's like an auditorium full of eighth graders. If you can imagine that in the South Bronx, it's 1990 maybe. You know what I mean? Like, and I had my character was called Wise, and so I had he had on a baggy like suit, and I had a little kufi hat with a little tassel.
This sounds like the Quizmaster.
Oh my god!
We'll get to it later, but my goodness.
Yo, so my character comes on. He's like, "Yo, my name is Wise," and so I do this little rap as my intro. And I remember after a couple of months, I started to know how to get my lines, get my dancing together, and I go on stage and I open my mouth, and a rowdy auditorium of eighth graders shut up.
Wow.
I had never commanded an audience in my entire life outside of my mom and my sisters.
It's powerful, yeah.
Yeah, that day, what you said, it was tangible, bro. I was like, they're listening to everything that happens next. And I was like, oh shit, this was a moment. Art, I can touch people. They will listen to me. And from that moment, I've always looked for that moment, even on set, on movies, television, where the room gets quiet, where the art is so tangible that it's like when you're done with that take, usually the director's like, "Oh, yeah, that was a good one." We all feel it, Right. Even the focus puller will be like, "Oh man, that was a good take," because we can all tell when that little silence is there, when it's like we hit it. It's like a bell, like a ding. And it's been my North Star as an artist since. But to answer your question, Christine, that made me want to get good, to have more of that moment. That was it.
So, yeah, I mean, the soap opera is a great way to train, right? You're shooting an episode a day, maybe two a day.
Yeah, you go in the morning. I don't know if Eddie got, and they're bringing soaps back. That is her. CBS is launching a new all-black show. Black people centered. I doubt it'll be like an exclusionary cast, but like centered around a rich dynasty black family. Right? They just announced it the other day. But this was soaps were big in the '80s, massive. Luke and Laura, General Hospital. I had done theater only, so I come in there and there's a script in the morning. You know what I mean? You read your lines, you do a blocking rehearsal, do makeup, you come back and do another rehearsal, do a camera blocking, and then you tape. And so soap is like a new play every day. And I had never encountered that. And I come from theater, like musical theater, community theater. And so it was such a steep learning curve.
Right, because you have no rehearsal time. The community theater, it's all rehearsal time.
Right.
And then you get a couple of weeks to do the show. But this is the opposite.
It was the very opposite. And so I worked as hard as a young man could possibly work. And Debbie Morgan, she is like a black belt at acting. She's one of the baddest actors I have ever seen, and she was so popular. And her husband was Rock, had a TV show called Rock. What's his name?
Oh yeah, yes. I know who it is. Yes,
yeah. So she they were like. Her and I like a power couple, and she was like a master at acting. And I remember a scene where I would be in scenes with her, Christine David, and I would just forget my lines watching her act. Like I would, I had to get that thing where the director would be like, okay, I need you to not watch her.
Not be so gobsmacked by her, right? What she's doing and actually react.
And try to do the scene, kid. And I was like, wait, I'm sorry. That's how good she was. So she was my college. She was my finishing school. Watching a brilliant performer do it day in and day out, and following her lead, to be very honest with you, and having her as a North Star to quite possibly be as good or as close to her as I can get.
That's crazy. So you get an hour script, then maybe the night before.
Yeah,
and you have to
the morning of. No, you get
in makeup when you hit the makeup chair. Right?
How do you memorize a whole hour episode and then just shoot it that same day? I don't even understand.
David, I can remember anything.
Well, you can right now.
I can remember anything, and I think it's because of that.
Exactly.
My retention, I'm getting older now, so now it's for me, it's like a gate. I have to approach when the gate is open, because my brain of memorization it's a sponge, but it's I don't control when it turns on all the time. So I have to get up in the morning and go, can you learn today? My brain is like, we can receive anything. And I'm like, I can read pages of dialogue. Sometimes I get up and the brain is like, we're not remembering shit, Alimi. So you're going to have to wait for the gate to open. I kid you not.
Yeah. And do you find that that has now changed because we're a little bit older now, or was it always like that? Because I have a harder time memorizing now that I'm older. I mean, you would think that with all the practice, but it's just
it's age. It's age for me. Like,
let's just face facts, right? It's age.
No, I memorize even faster sometimes if the writing makes sense to me. But
exactly.
I still have, David.
If the writing makes sense to you, yes.
If it makes sense, I can almost memorize it instantly. But the gate has to be open. I'm like a cat. You got to stroke my brain. We're like, all right, how we doing?
Can I tell you guys just an aside story? My daughter Chelsea had an audition last night. We waited till like 10:30 at night. It's just, been sitting on her desk all week. Yeah. 8 pages. She looks at it. She's like, how are we going to do this right now? I said, listen, look me in the eye, understand what I'm saying, and listen to me.
Come on.
And it will make sense to you. It was good writing. It's a big movie. Yeah. And, we did like 4 or 5 takes per scene, but this 14-year-old kid crushed it, man. Like, at 10:30 at night on a weeknight after her homework.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well done.
Right.
Great dad coaching right there, bro.
Well, it's what you're saying. If the writing is good and you listen to the actor you're reading with, the line should come naturally. You know how to respond. It makes sense.
Dude, a quick aside for any young actors listening, if the writing, David just said, if the writing makes sense, you understand the situation and you're just trying to remember the facts to talk about. But when you know how you should feel, you know how they feel, what you want, what you don't want, what you're fighting against. Once you can comprehend that, the words are so secondary. You just lean into it because you have the emotional choreography already in your heart. And that's the best thing about our jobs. One of the things I love.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And by the way, just side note, I looked it up. Not that I was but I had to look it up. It's Charles Dutton.
Charles Dutton. Rock.
Charles Dutton.
Yeah.
It was on the tip. But yes, I could picture him, but I needed to say the name because it would have been eating away at me. So I had
Charles Dutton. And I think they were just getting a divorce at the time or something like that. But
but power, like that level of acting of a power couple for sure. Yes.
It was daunting and but I had no ego. All you had was humility and something to aspire to become. So that's what she was. And
by osmosis, like when you like a sponge, hope some of it rubs off on you, right? When you're working with the greats, and I've gotten the privilege of working with some of the top comedic actors out there, and really? I'm always I'm always like, please let some of the funny.
Zoolander, dude. She is right there with those guys.
I don't know. Are you sure?
Okay.
I'm a IMDb.
This was not to toot my own horn. This was literally like in those scenes because I, like you, would watch this masterclass in comedy and how they work the camera and I just was like, oh please, please let some of it rub off on me. Please. Let me get some of
it always does.
Let some of the comedic fairy dust sprinkle onto me after. It does, though. It does. When you're there and you're present.
It did. You friggin' crushed it. You were awesome.
All right. I was not digging for compliments.
No. Well, I can also be like, you kind of out, but you didn't. You know what I mean? Because that can always happen. You're in these master class, these master rooms, and you're like, you're the one, womp, womp, womp. It's the worst thing.
The worst.
If you stick out like, oh my God, that's the only soft spot. You're like, the fact that you held in that space, what real comic. I mean, to be honest, these are like some of the sharpest tools in the shed. Those guys are legendary in that field. I mean, I would be up in there like shitting bricks. I find comedy.
Yeah, but you got to remember, you're there for a reason.
Yes.
They chose you to be there for that reason. You wouldn't be there if you couldn't hold your own. So, 99% of the time.
Wisdom. That's some dad wisdom right there.
Yes,
if you got picked, you belong in that room. Like
exactly.
You belong in every room you walk into. You're right. So I
Yeah.
won't.
And otherwise, they have no problem firing you, which we all know too, right?
We've all been there too.
In this business, we know that they don't keep you just because they feel sad for you.
Oh, baby,
Christine, what'd you say the other day? We're going in another direction.
Yeah. Oh, that's my favorite.
They never say you're fired.
No, we're going to go in a different direction. We thank you.
Yeah.
But we're going in another direction. I have been there so many times. Those are delicious moments.
Oh.
We want to go through your career. Your IMDb is enormous. Wait, so there was an Arsenio Hall show.
Yeah.
What was this? With Vivica Fox.
And Arsenio Hall, Kevin Dunn, Shawnee Smith.
Oh my goodness.
Hattie Winston. My first primetime series regular role. I booked it December of 1996. I had just got to LA a couple of months previous. Like I left 3 years after the soap was over, contract was over. They were going in a different direction. And you know, and I was like, what do I do? Like, you know, and my agent was like, come to LA. It'll be okay. Just stop being a scaredy cat. You know, you'll do fine. So I move in with my sister, who was already out there, and my niece, who's 28 now, was like, 18 months in Pampers, you know. I'm staying in Inglewood, and I'm like, okay, great, this is great. This is a new beginning for me, you know, this is going to be awesome, you know, and I just put my nose to the grind. I became a monk. You know, I went on every audition. I stayed up all night on every possible opportunity. And then this job came along, this pilot.
Arsenio. It was called Arsenio. Yeah.
It's called Arsenio, produced by DreamWorks, you know. And I went to the Amblin Entertainment, Entertainment, which is on the Universal lot.
Universal, yeah. Steven Spielberg's company,
Spielberg, DreamWorks, right? And this is back then we had 5 auditions. You know, you had the casting director, you know, then you get the second time the casting director, you get the producer, you get the studio, then you get the network, right? That's 5.
Yeah.
This is the network test, and everyone's there. Arsenio is there.
Yeah, the pressure just rises on each one.
All your friends are in the waiting room with you. It's like you're there with all your buddies. Like, hey, Rob, hey, what's up, James? You're like, all right, I can't talk to you right now.
Right. And then you hear them auditioning before you hear whether they're getting the laughs. You hear it's so
comedy. Like you hear if they're making ABC and Steven Spielberg laugh.
And you've signed a contract. I mean, Christine and I talked about this. You've signed a 5-year contract with the money and everything right there in front of you.
So you know what you're about to lose or get.
Totally. Or get.
It's so crazy.
But these kind of nerves are the nerves that are required to do the job, because you know there's a whole level of pressure on the other side. And sometimes if you can't get through the audition process, trust me, the doing process will cook you. And that's why we hear about all these horror stories. It's so much pressure in our business. And I always thought the audition process as an appetizer to all of the pressure, you know, the weight, the expectations, the pressure on you to perform and you do well, have the show do well every week, checking your Nielsen numbers. I mean, it's nonstop. Do I get more? Am I doing well this time? And so I do. Anyway, so I booked the show, and they paid me like $10,000 an episode, more money than I had seen in my entire life. They flew me first class. This is the 90s. I want to give all the young people. Back then, young people on American Airlines, there was a chef in first class. You guys remember, right? Like I had tomato sauce rigatoni with broccoli prepared by a chef in the galley. In first, that doesn't exist in America anymore. Maybe Emirates has it. I don't know. We don't have it in this country anymore.
You know, we all remember those first flights. For the only time I've ever flown first class is when I'm traveling for work.
On the company's dime, of course.
It's so crazy that is part of the SAG contract. These are like
crazy, or you said amazing? Is it crazy or is it hard fought?
No, I say give me the
blessing.
Give me the money.
Yes.
Let me book a coach ticket on JetBlue and give me the $5,000 and add it to my paycheck. I mean, I think a lot of actors probably feel that way. And it's like, it's very expensive to fly SAG actors around the country and the world, these first class tickets. But we all remember and appreciated when we were younger. That was the only times I've flown first class.
No, I first of all, that was David. That was my very first time being at. It was a kid in the candy store.
Yeah, me
had
too.
No children. Now that money, you can give me that money. At that point, like I don't even know if I had any debt. It was like it was just like There was just nothing in my bank account. It was like $85, but I owed no one in the world anything.
And you're flying on a $5,000 flight.
I was just like, this is what living is like. And they're going to pay me $10,000 an episode. I didn't care about after taxes. The show got canceled after 7 episodes. Only 4 aired. But I was the happiest person in the world. And because what I took away from that is everything I learned in the Bronx, everything I learned on the soaps was applicable. It wasn't just like a soap actor going to, like, I could make it. Like, even if that show didn't go forever, I had what it took to make it in Hollywood. It was a big blessing for me. And I didn't care if it went on forever. I knew that I could go on. You get in the big leagues, you don't know if if you can cut it. And it showed me that young kid, if you keep working, you've got what it takes to make it in this world, man. And it was a big thing for me. And I had a blast.
Oh, well, then that confidence boost is what you're saying it was. Like that must have, when you, because I always feel like when you have that feeling and then you go to the next audition and you just exude this sort of confidence, and there's something attractive about that. It's not a desperation. It's almost like, even though you needed the work and wanted the work, you had that under your belt to be able to sort of bring in this, like, hey, you guys would be lucky to have me. I just did that show.
That's always Christine, that's always the vibe, because that's actually what they want to hire. They want to hire you if you're going to make their thing better, not make it suck. That's actually the point.
That's the equation. Right.
That's why they think you're going, like what you were saying, you belong in there. They're hiring you, David, because you're going to make it better. That actually is the mindset. I went right from that show being over to doing a pilot for NBC. I was flush with like $50,000 cash money in my bank account. I thought I was wealthy at that point. And I did a pilot for NBC, of which I won't name. And I hated all the people. I didn't like it.
Ooh,
they had paid me like 4 times as much money, just about, right? And
you like everybody. What do you mean? How did you know?
This is right. See, you
these must be,
it was another network. It wasn't ABC. I don't know what it was. I walked into the pilot, the table read, and I was like, this is not my place. It was like instantaneous. I called my agent and I was like, can you get me off this show? Now, this is how young I am. I have no children. I'm not married. I owe nobody nothing. I've got $40,000 in the bank. I am free. This is some of the good things about being young. You don't have to do the job. You can walk away. You own yourself, having sovereignty. And my agent was like, what are you talking about?
Who do you think you are?
I was like, I'm getting a bad vibe. He was like, okay. He's like, okay. Let's just see how the week goes. It was like day one.
Day one, right? And you were what, 20s? You were in your mid-20s at that point?
24.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yep.
I fear no one. Like I'm invincible. I'm gonna live forever.
I'm getting a bad vibe.
And I want out of here.
At the table read.
They fired me on Friday, and I'm the happiest man in the world.
See?
Yeah.
You got yourself fired. Wow.
No. It didn't go well, but
it didn't click.
It didn't click. And it was more comedy. I did the sitcom. It was another sitcom. It didn't click. It didn't feel right. And they fired me. So I had more money. And that was for a week's worth of work. I was like, this is the best job in the world. And then the very next job was Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Wait.
Oh.
Yeah. Is that before Numbers?
Way before Numbers.
No way. All right, let's talk about Sabrina. We've had pretty much the whole cast on here. Soleil, Melissa, Elisa. Tell us how that came about for you and what your experience was like.
Good fortune. It was an abundance of blessings. The sitcom I did, Arsenio, I happen to have done very well. Right. So like your comedy is working, like, ABC is front row. It gets canceled, but people are watching. They know whether you're doing a good job. They're like, okay, that kid is good. He's brand new, but we like
him, and let's flag that and let's find something for him. Yes.
And Sabrina the Teenage Witch was also ABC. right? So I kind of went back home. I was on another network. I was like, I don't like these people over here.
Did you go to that network with the little stage?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, the network test,
At ABC
right?
Network,
ABC.
there's a stage.
CBS had a dungeon. I'll get to that when I get to
CBS was in the basement.
The dungeon.
I remember it. I remember all of them. Yes.
I spent a decade with those folks. Oh my God. So this one is a different one. It's like it was one audition, because now you got a little bit of a rep going. It was one audition with Paula Hart, and it was wonderful in their offices. I forget where it was, and then she took me out to lunch, and she was like, "I want you to come in here, blah 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 blah," and it was kind of like instantaneous. I got there. I loved Melissa, and it was a different kind. I found it challenging because it wasn't in live studio audience, so I had gotten really good at performing. You know what I mean? I had gotten really good at performing for a stage, or in an in-house studio. And Sabrina the Teenage Witch did not have that.
Right.
It was just the writers. You were kind of performing for the writers, and
it was their own jokes, and they knew it. It was not fresh in that way, right? When you have the writers kind of fake laughing for you, just to give it the air, that's hard.
I found it a little bit interesting. It didn't click the same exact way, but I click with Melissa. You know what I mean? Let me just give her flowers. You talking about completely unaffected by her work, by success, by fame, by money, whatever you want to call it, whatever the thing that crushes young actresses. She didn't have any of that shit. She was untouchable. I was so impressed by how direct, matter of fact, practical, and sweet she was on day one. It really, I was like, oh,
to be all of those things, and to be a young woman, and to be the boss.
Yes.
Like when you threw in that was a period of time where women couldn't be all of those things and be the boss. Like you couldn't be sweet and be the boss. You couldn't be, warm and welcoming and approachable if you were the woman in power back then, and for her to be as young as she was. I mean, just getting to hear you guys and you all talked about it at our dinner when we all had that beautiful dinner in Hartford. Was what the early seasons of working on that show was like, because of all of the effects and how long it would take to shoot things.
Yes.
It was like, it was not like shooting a half-hour comedy, even though it was a half-hour comedy. You guys were like had the shooting schedule of like an hour drama because of all the technical
It was so
aspects, right?
Aspects. Yeah, you didn't have the bump of the live audience, the rhythm of that, the rush that you get of performing. It was before the tech crew. I mean, the actual camera crew and the writers. So you kind of like were trying to make the writers laugh at their own jokes, which always is for me anyway, one of those interesting spaces. I'd rather try the material on an audience who we need to laugh. You know what I mean?
And also there'd be scenes where you're like, okay, now Melissa disappears, or now you're looking at some crazy cavern in
CGI. It's like you're doing like now, like Marvel, that's all they do. You're talking to a tennis ball.
You have to imagine a lot of the scene work in Sabrina. And
she's going to move out. We're going to do an effect and then do again. And
right. Now she's on a volcano in Hawaii and she's about to fall into it. But, the thing about Melissa, and yes, we've spoken about Paula and Melissa and how they are very amazing entrepreneurial women.
Yes.
And yes, they were our bosses, but like they were friends and family to me before I ever thought of them as a boss, right? They became my friends and my family. And that's what I think that was why the set was such a positive vibe.
I agree. They had quite a family environment. It felt close knit, and I was I only was there for one season, but it was a blast. And it stays as a seminal piece of of the good fortune of my career as an artist and as a person of meeting people. It's just one of those bright spots, and the further away I get from it, the brighter it gets. How neat is that?
Well, that's what's so interesting about this, why we're doing this podcast, why it's 90s centric. That happens to be a period of time. Yeah. But for us as artists and performers and actors who are now 30 years out of that
Yes.
decade.
Yes.
And seeing the impact it had at those conventions, at the cons, with the fans, with this next generation of people discovering the shows. Like you said, it gets brighter, strangely.
Mm-hmm.
We get more connected to the work we did then than I'm connected to things I did in the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
It has a greater well of gravity on you.
Yes.
And I don't know what Einsteinian, Newtonian principle that is, but it shines in your heart it has like a star, but it has a gravity. And as time increases, it shines brighter. It's like perspective. Over time, you see how beautiful the thing is. And it's why the 90s and Sabrina and Melissa and that whole period, and, like you said, why we're here, stands in our hearts, but not just our hearts. There's a lot of people out. The fan base is massive, and they appreciate the sweetness. Not that life wasn't complicated, but I think we gave something sweet. We gave something that you can hold on to, even though life was lifing. But this piece of sweetness, it lands in the heart. It just shines, and people really appreciate it sincerely. And it's their comfort show, and that's what we heard on the press line. That's my comfort show. I watch them for comfort. And as a comparison, when me and the kids get together, I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. We'll watch Peppa Pig right now.
Yep.
Like, you feel me?
Is that the British accent pig?
Not Pig.
I'm Peppa
Pig. Like random, and we'll watch Despicable Me.
It sets them. It calms them down. You talk about safe, right? We keep going back to safe.
Safe.
Yeah.
Yes, we do that with when the kids come back and they're 22 and 18, and it's literally like the things that will unite over watching The Incredibles, Monsters, Inc., the movies from that literally. And then we'll watch The Incredibles as like a cinematic masterpiece of like the production. He's looking at it, he's like, this was like above and beyond. He points out
was right about it each time, right? Look how they got that right.
Yeah, not even just the heart of it, but like how visually, aesthetically pleasing it is, right? That sort of mid-century.
Yes.
So we're all seeing it in different ways, but we can all come together and just the sweetness of it, the memory of that time that the kids were little and we first watched it, and now they're older, and it's just
it'll be your family favorites 20 more years from now. You'll put on your movie, like it's those movies and Die Hard for me. We'll watch them, and then we'll watch Die Hard, and I lose it every time. I've watched the movie no less than 17,000 times.
We all have.
Then you should answer the question: is it a true Christmas movie? That's the big dilemma. Is it a Christmas movie or is it an action movie?
I want to help everyone that's confused. Okay, I want to really offer a balm of healing for the soul. If you find yourself conflicted on whether Ho 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 is a part of Die Hard starts with Christmas music. It starts at Christmas time. It is the quintessential Christmas movie. There is no debate. He sends the dead body down in Santa's hat. It's all wrapped up in that movie. It is the best. Aside from It's a Wonderful Life, I'm going with Die Hard.
I love that you got them in the same category too. That's because it's a Christmas movie. I knew you were going to fall there.
Christine, you said the opposite. No,
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Right. We can debate this.
No, but I hear the argument. Believe me, I always thought of it as an action movie that has the Christmas background. But you're right. From the first music uttered on screen, it's setting up. It's a Christmas movie. So I hear you. I understand it.
Oh, thank you. Well, how about when we get together, we watch it? Like as a 90s crew, we watch this movie and we go through it. Okay. The soundtrack is Christmas based. Run DMC song. Bruce Willis in the car talking to Argyle, who's his limo driver. He's like, what is this crap? It's a Christmas song. Run DMC had a Christmas song on the radio.
Ali might know Die Hard better than we do.
I love that. Yes, you definitely.
I would not debate you on this issue.
These are not questions. These are factual facts.
You had a big hit show called Numb3rs,
yes,
right? With David Krumholtz and
Rob Morrow. My
Judd gosh. Hirsch. Yeah. So that was 5 seasons. How was that experience?
It's the biggest show to change my life. Each stage of my life, I guess, there's something like that happens for me. And you're like late 20s, early 30s, was it? Something like that. And it's the show that helps me. That was the family man part of my life, and I love that movie, by the way. Nicolas Cage, Taya Leone. I was praying like for a lot of years, like I just want my gun and a badge. I want to be on CBS, and I just want to rock. I want to jump on people, handcuff them, tough guy stuff, with maybe some heart. And this job came around, and it was the best thing. So I landed in this. We shot 2 pilots. The first pilot we shot 30 years ago, 2004. It was me. Gabriel Mock was the original Rob Morrow. And Gabriel Mock in Suits. Yeah.
Interesting.
We did 2 pilots. Judd Hirsch Judd Hirsch wasn't even there. But it was me and David Krumholtz and Navi Rawat, and a couple of us were there. I think Peter McNichol was there. And they retooled it. They brought in Rob Morrow. They brought in Judd Hirsch. They kind of wanted to really get a great family unit. And those 3 guys really have a beautiful family connection. And then we got started. And it turned out to be one of the best jobs. I just was working on All American yesterday. Half of the crew was from Numb3rs. There's not a country, a set I don't go to where I'm not surrounded by my Numb3rs family. Currently working today. I just did a film with David Krumholtz that'll be coming out sometime this year, an independent film. It's called Forelock. Crazy. Now, that crew is like my adult crew. Rob Morrow, we text. Navi, we have it's like your adult fam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where that's like your college friends. Like
the brotherhood. This brotherhood. You're right.
Yeah, that's a talented group, man. Did you ever watch Northern Exposure? Did you guys like that? Were you
only bits? It wasn't completely my tea, but please.
Right.
Yeah, no, Rob Morrow on that show. Northern Exposure was like I was obsessed with it, and like his work in Quiz Show, and he's just.
I remember him from Quiz Show. I was like,
so good.
And he taught me so much. Rob was such a pro. By the time I'm working with him, he showed me how to plan your day, do all your rehearsal. Don't take work home. I learned from Rob Morrow. Don't take your work home because he's he had already had kids at the time.
Right.
He was married for a long time before me. Like I was just married 2 years before the show happened, right? And he was like, Alimi, so here's what you want to do. Like he really did a lot of Big Brother vibes,
mentoring.
You know what I mean? And I love that. He was like, learn all your tomorrow's work today. So in between breaks, he didn't goof off. He learned all of tomorrow's work so he can
be present for his family. Yeah.
Wow.
I get that skill from him directly.
That's a great piece of advice. Especially for a show like that, where you sort of know the drill and you know what is going to be expected of you, that you can take those time when you've got lunch, when you've got to focus on the next day, and you stay in there. You're in that headspace all throughout the day. And then you get to go home and be home.
22 episodes a season. I want to say that again. The first season was 24. Like you did 24 episodes. It was all year you did a show like that, an episodic drama, lines and lines and lines. I am an expositional master. I can make exposition sound like the most entertaining, romantic thing. Give me a dictionary. I will read the out of that boy.
And how long were the days?
The days were 14, 16-hour days.
Right.
He's 10 months out of the year.
It's like shooting a movie that never ends. I mean, our drama series is the hardest job in all of entertainment, I think.
It was beautiful for me to go from that, and we did like 5.5 seasons, just nearly 6 seasons. Amazing. And it was great. And the friends that I made from that show and the fans are perennial. And and then money, like network money, just to be on a business level. That was you. Bought my home. You were able to get your nest egg together. It gave me the confidence to make a baby with my wife, to make another one. I was like, you know what I mean? Like,
yes. Yeah, I have a little security now. I can feel good about this right now at this. That's amazing. And to do that kind of work. And I love that you actually sort of wanted to take a job like that. You hear a lot of actors say, I wouldn't be able to do that kind of job. It just is too much. It's too all in. It's too the same. Yes. But, you know, that's why there's something out there for everyone, because for you to sort of, you knew, you're like, I want my badge. I want to chase bad guys. I want to be that guy. Yes. And you manifested it. And to have it be with people that, you know, you love until the end, like, what a gift. Like, those are so few and far between, because you could get stuck on one of those with the other network show that didn't click, and that would have been your worst nightmare.
I'm trying to see how to respond without naming names. You know what I mean?
Yes. Don't worry. Don't say anything.
There are people stuck. I work with people back then stuck on shows where you really dislike the people you're working with, and then you're in hell.
Christine and I talk about this all the time. We cannot even understand someone that shows up onto a set with anything other than gratitude and, you know, coming prepared on time. And, you know,
thankful for that moment, hoping to pour into it, to make more good stuff, to make more bounty for you and the Teamsters, and to have the presence of mind. That show made me love working with adults. Like, you know, adults have another level of appreciation. You know what I mean? In my experience.
That's true. I will say I was a punk when I was a kid. I mean,
that's why
for a few years.
I wanted to be off that pilot. Like, I had no responsibility. So you can make calls like that. Adults are like, okay, hold on. First of all, it's all temporary. You know, and like, you know, they have a level of appreciation. They can understand when a blessing is upon them and seek to pour into it. Right.
We're lucky. And we're a small part of this thing. Like, showing up on set is such a humbling thing, because you're one little piece of 100-person project.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yeah. That's how I show up now, all the time. Very, very quiet. I just did All American yesterday, and, you know, a lot of my Numbers people were there. And
that's a great show.
Oh my God.
The football show, right? Yeah.
And Ketchy is the creator and the executive producer. She's a friend of ours for about 15, 20 years. She is a goddess, man, and a creative marvel. She's just a genius. So, yeah.
My son Casey loves that show. Yeah. Let's just talk about Queen of the South real quick, because man, I remember all you spoke so highly of that show, and it was so well received by everybody.
Oh, that's the, like, there's Numbers, there's a couple things in between, you know, and then there's Queen of the South. Queen of the South has become the second act of my life as an artist. Okay, I'm 50. You know what I mean? I did that show about 5 years ago, and it is what I call, if you watch it, it's the maturation. Like, to play a full-bodied, I like to call him a community leader. People call him a criminal, but I thought he was more of a community leader.
And they can be both. You can be
a real estate developer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I love to come into that role as a mature person, you know, as a full-grown adult with some more lived experience, because I was able to pour into Marcel Dumas really what I know. And all of my neighborhood friends, if you watch my work and then you watch that, all of my buddies from back home from the Bronx, when that show aired, I got phone calls from Snoop. I got my buddy named Snoop. I got from my buddy Dre from they be like, yo, Ali, yeah, dog, we like that shit right there, dog. That's that. It's like
wait, you're talking about you have friends named Snoop and Dre?
K.O., Ramakeesh. I'm talking about neighborhood guys.
Yeah.
My neighborhood guys called me up because it's the first thing that I've done, really, that my neighborhood guys reminds us in small slivers of some of the world that we walked through as kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm mimicking some things that I saw. Like, you work in more of a dangerous world. You're doing Cop Show, you're doing Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and it's all a bit, you know what I mean? It's fun, but it's a
heightened realities, right? Yes.
Yeah. Queen of the South, what made it so great on USA, Alice Brage, Hemki Madera, Alfonso Herrera. I'm working with some monsters, like some heavyweight actors And I love cinematic work.
Mm.
Like I'm a method actor, right? So I love when we get to not act and be. And you don't get to do that on network television. It just, the nature of the beast is different. Cable allows you to be. There is no acting on that show. You go there. And so.
Yeah, and you're drawing on life experience. That's when the best work happens, I think.
So my wife, like I and we shot it out of state. I shot it in New Orleans.
New Orleans. I was going to say the city of New Orleans. You talk about cinematic. Bro. That city is a character in the show.
David, I stayed in my hotel. I came to set in character. Like the people didn't know who I was until like 2 months in. The producers. I showed up to set the first day. The show came at such a pivotal time in my life. I had poured my heart and soul to it. So I came to set completely locked in. So I meet the lead girl, Elise Braga, and I'm looking at her in character like, hey, how you doing? She was like, oh, I'm doing great. How are you? Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. I put my headphones on and walked back into my corner. I was in the ring.
That is so the opposite
scary.
Of you.
I know.
Ali would have given a hug and
totally
all love.
David, none of that. So I was just I felt like a caged tiger. I was just waiting for the director to say action. I was looking at people like, get out of my way.
You came to play, man.
The director said action, and I leapt. I'll never forget her face. She was like, oh shit, you're on that shit. I was like, yeah. I'm on that shit. She'll tell you, my character was supposed to die. We shot the first scene, the first day. She walks downstairs because she's the executive producer. She was like, this fucking guy doesn't die. He doesn't die. We fight to the end. She was like, no.
Oh my goodness.
What she saw was complete devotion. You know, that you absorb their world and you're going to give 100%. And there's no writer, executive producer, actor that does not appreciate that you've come to give your heart and soul to their production. They already got a show. Their show is already a hit. You know what I mean? It's your job to come and add. And in that instance, she was like, oh, this fucker has come to play.
Right. He's not dying. He's not dying.
She went downstairs. She was like, you went down to Video Village. She's like, Marcel Dumas does not. She made that decision. He does not. I was supposed to die after 10 episodes. She was like, he does not die. We'll fix it later. Comes back up, see, and like, but it was war on day one. It was the best feeling to be fully realized in the character and be met with people like, bring that smoke.
Yeah, and you were at the time in your life where you were ready for it.
Brother,
that's the beauty of being a grown-up, right? You can seize it.
Yes.
The opportunity meets, your preparedness.
Yes.
Ali, we got to let you go. I can talk another hour, dude.
I know. This flew by.
Oh my God.
You're the greatest.
Guys all day, brother. Thank you for having me. Christine, my love.
This was the best. Thank you for joining us. This was so good. I loved hearing your stories, and we need to hear more, and we'll watch Die Hard together one of these days.
Is it a Christmas movie or not? Ali, I always feel good when I'm with you, man. You're just the greatest. Please send Dawn my love and your whole family.
Oh man, from our hearts back to you, David, Christine. Thank you guys for having me. You are the sweetest. You are You are the kindest of people. And in this world today, invaluable. So thank you.
It's mutual, buddy. We love you.
I want to hug you. I want to jump through the screen and hug you right now.
Zoom hug. All right. Have a great day, buddy.
I will.
Lots of love.
I mean, he's the real deal. That's not for show. That's real.
No, that's so real. And forget the fact that he is one of the sweetest people. And I meant it when I said, when you pulled me over and said, this is one of my favorite people and I need you guys to meet. And he was about to do his photos. And we just had that. What a fascinating, listening to him talk about acting and that last story he told, never would have expected that he's a method actor, that he got to I haven't seen that show and now I need to check it out. Because it just seems, yes. And wow. And just which you can just tell. And I, sitting next to him at that dinner a few weeks ago, I just got to hear him rave and gush about his kids and his family.
Oh, you guys did sit next to each other. So you really got to, oh, good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we got to, we had a lot of quality time, and what a sweetheart. Really, truly. Like, he is just that, you're magnetically drawn to him, and yeah, thank you for putting us all together at that dinner and asking him to be on the show. And I had no idea he was only on one season of Sabrina. Like, that's the other thing. When you're good and you make an impact, I think of him as having been on that show.
Well, yeah, because we've all been friends for 20 years since then. Like, he's part of our whole crew. But he also did a show called Queen Sugar. That was Ava DuVernay's show, produced by Oprah Winfrey. There was so much more to talk about.
I know. No, he's just works nonstop.
He's a fantastic actor, but honestly, he's the greatest family man. He calls his wife Queen. So there's like a theme here. Queen of the South, Queen Sugar. His wife is Queen. He is he's just a beautiful person. Yeah.
Very special. Very special. That was great. That was great.
Yeah. Let's,
well, that's all we've got. And, and so next week is we can talk about that. Next week is going to be our big, unedited Drew episode that you will have seen already, potentially. If you haven't seen it on your TV screens, then you can stream it, download it. We did as we talked about, we did the Drew show. And so next week, tune in for the unedited
Drew Barrymore on Hey Dude, the 90s Called.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe and give us 5 stars.
And please follow us on Instagram at Hey Dude, the 90s Called. See you next time.